I'm Michelle, this is Michmash. I'm filming a few videos today, so you might see this set up a few times, but today I'm filming my Q1 wrap-up. I want to do a video just recapping all the books I read in January, February, and March, the ratings, and then highlight the top 5, I think. Also, I want to point out which books were on my 10 books I want to read this year list, and the Book Riot Read Harder Challenge, which I'm doing which books fit into which categories. So I'm going to try and hit all those birds with one stone. So I'm going to be going through the books pretty quickly though, without giving a synopsis, but I'll link all my wrap-ups below, and if you want to hear more about a book, that's when I talk about them. So, starting out with The First Bad Man by Miranda July. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. Didn't really enjoy this one, it was a little bit weird for me. Next, Down and Out in London and Paris by George Orwell. I really liked this one. It was a 4 out of 5 read for me, and it was an interesting depiction of poverty, especially in London and Paris, but kind of for anywhere. Third, Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. This one was a 4 out of 5 for me. I liked it. It was a little bit weird, but that's kind of what you get with Gillian Flynn. This was one of the books I wanted to read this year as the last book of Gillian Flynn. I still need to read her little novella though. Fourth, The Silver Suitcase by Terry Todd. I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. This is a Christian romance, historical fiction. Something I used to read when I was a teenager and not really anymore, so that's why it wasn't really for me. But if you're into that, this is a good one. Next, My Life on the Road by Gloria Steinem. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. This was part of the Emma Watson's book club, and I liked this. It was interesting to read more about Hillary Clinton's first election campaign, especially while we're in the middle of her second one, and introduced me to someone I should have known long before, Gloria Steinem. My Life on the Road completed number 19 on the Book Riot Read Harder Challenge, which was a non-fiction book about feminism. It's a memoir, but it was definitely about feminism. Then I read Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli, and I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. Sorry I'm looking down so much, I have my notes in front of me. So, this is a young adult contemporary romance novel. I enjoyed it, it was fun and really cute. And the last book I read in January was Hyperbole and a Half by Ali Bosch. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. This was cute, and there was lots of funny parts, but a little bit too dog-focused for me. But if you're a dog lover, you should pick this up. On to February. I started out with Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson. This was on my top 10 books to read in 2016 as the last book of the Mistborn trilogy. I enjoyed this. I felt like it was a little bit too heavy on the researching the religions part of it, and it wasn't as exciting for me as the first two, but I also waited too long to read this book. This also completed the task of a book over 500 pages for me. Hero of Ages was 4 out of 5 stars. Next, The Night Guest by Fiona McFarlane. The Night Guest by Fiona McFarlane was a 4 out of 5 stars. This was a book I randomly picked up at the library. It was about this older woman, and I really liked it. I thought it was a good story about how we should treat elderly people. Next, I read On Beauty by Zadie Smith. I read this because I saw her do a presentation, which I vlogged up here, if you want to check that out. I didn't really like this book that much though. It was a 3 out of 5 stars for me, and I just didn't really get along with it that well. Zadie Smith as a person, love her. Next, I read A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. This was the middle grade novel that I had to read for the Book Read Harder Challenge, and I gave that a 4 out of 5 stars. It was a dark and emotional story, but it was really well done, and the pictures, you have to read it in physical form. Last book or play I read in February was Salome by Oscar Wilde. I think I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. It was okay. It wasn't really. I like his other plays and works much better. This was a historical play about John the Baptist, and I had to read a play for the Read Harder Challenge, so I took that one off too. Moving on to March, I started with Birdie by Tracy Lindbergh. I gave this a 2 out of 5 stars. Did not enjoy this. It's a story about a Native woman who has lots of flashbacks, and you never know who you're reading about or what what's going on. It just seemed to encourage stereotypes, and I didn't like it. Next, I read People of the Book by Geraldine Brooks. This was a reread for me, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars this time as well. Historical fiction book with different stories set in different times, and it was really interesting. I liked this book a lot. And I counted that as a book about religion, fiction or non, for the Read Harder Challenge. Next, I read Relish by Lucy Nicely. This is a graphic novel about food. I loved it, and one of the tasks on the Read Harder Challenge was a food memoir. Next, I read Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. Gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. Absolutely loved it. Super fun read about video games, but not. It's just an adventure book, and it was super fun and awesome. This was on my books I have to read in 2016 list, so I finally got to that one. And I also counted it as a dystopian or a post-apocalyptic book. And I read Kindred Spirits by Rainbow Rowell. This was a quick story about some people waiting in line for the Star Wars movie, and made me wish I was that much of a fangirl. And this book it's more of a novella. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, and it counted as my book under 100 pages for the Read Harder Challenge. And the last book I read in March, and the quarter one, was Winter by Marissa Myers. This was also on my list of books to read in 2016 because I wanted to finish that series. I gave this one a 3 out of 5 stars. I wasn't really as impressed with how the series ended, but I did like the series as a whole. But I guess I just got a little bit bored in this one. So as for my top 5, I'm not great at ranking things as my favorites, but obviously the 2 5-star reads were in the top 5, which were Ready Player One by Ernest Cline and People of the Book by Geraldine Brooks. And then for the other 3, I would have to say Night Guest by Fiona McFarlane. This one really surprised me, and I really enjoyed it and thought it was an important read. I think I'm going to go with Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda, actually. This one just stood out as like a diverse and interesting, well-written book, and I would definitely want to pick up more of her books. And then finally, Down and Out in Paris and London by George Orwell. This was a total surprise. I just picked it up because it was on my boyfriend's bookshelf, and it was really good. It was really well written. I had never heard of it before, but it was really important and something I think I'll actually remember and think about in the future. As a whole, to wrap up my quarter one, I think I did pretty good. I read a lot of books. I'm at 20, I think, on my Goodreads challenge, which is great because I want to read 52 books this year. So I'm doing really well, but I'm wishing I had more 5-star reads. So 2 out of 20 is not very good for me. I like to think that I pick books that I'm going to like, not ones that I'm just going to think are okay. So I really want to do better this upcoming, in the rest of the year, at picking books that I'll actually really like. And I think that will require a little bit more research, a little bit more effort on my part. But I've got a lot of books on my hold list at the library and my to read list coming up. So I think that's going to happen. Anyway, thank you for watching this, and let me know if you liked it. Subscribe if you like my reading style and want to watch more videos. Thank you for subscribing, and I will see you later.